You are listening to the Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
I was reading this heuristic the other day, just having a coffee, and it is a bit of a rule of thumb for anyone trying to get a new idea off the ground. And honestly, it is equal parts funny and just entirely demoralizing.
Oh, really? Do tell.
Yeah, it claims that great ideas statistically need to be launched 3 times to actually stick.
3 times. That is a lot of effort.
3 distinct launches. It is basically saying, look, if you feel ignored on your first try, well, congratulations, that is just standard procedure. You have got 2 more shots before you are officially a failure.
That is oddly comforting, I reckon. In a dark way, maybe. But you know what actually tracks when you look at the sheer volume of things being built right now? The sheer amount of static out there is deafening. You launch once, and you are just a drop in the ocean.
Yeah.
You launch twice, and maybe you make a ripple. By the 3rd time, hopefully someone is actually looking at the water.
Right, exactly. And that ratio of signal to static is really the backdrop for what we are unpacking today.
Yeah.
We are getting into a stack of articles and reports that suggest the very act of building products is shifting right under our feet.
It really is.
It is not just about launching anymore. It is about surviving the chaos of how we build and how we charge, and frankly, whether the things we are building like user interfaces are about to become completely obsolete. So if you are listening to Vocal Technologist, hoping for a bit of light relief, you might want to brace yourself.
Yeah, it's a messy, messy time to be a builder, straight up.
So we have a massive agenda for you all to explore. We're going to look at why billing departments are currently having panic attacks over AI. We will get into why subtraction is actually the only growth strategy that works right now. And here's a scary thought, why that fancy UI you just spent 6 months perfecting might be disposable trash in the near future.
It sounds harsh, but the data is definitely pointing that way.
Let's start with the money, though, because I reckon that is usually where the panic sets in first.
Always follow the money, right?
Always. So picture this scenario. You are a CEO. You want an AI feature shipped, and you want it shipped yesterday. The pressure is immense. The engineers work their magic. The code is clean. The model is hallucinating less than usual, which is a win, and it works. Feature shipped.
Yeah.
Pop the champagne.
Yeah. You would think so. But in this new terrain, that is usually where the disaster starts. And it is not a product disaster. It is a finance disaster.
Yeah, this is the part that never gets mentioned in the hackathon demos.
No one talks about the invoice during the demo. There is this fascinating white paper from Metronome that really gets to the root of this. They point out that AI products have introduced these incredibly complex usage dimensions. We are not just selling access anymore. We are selling tokens, GPU hours, storage, API calls.
It's the death of one user, one license.
Completely.
Okay.
And the problem is the plumbing. Most legacy billing systems, your CPQs, your ERPs, they were built to be static record keepers. They are designed to store a PDF contract that says company X pays 50 grand a year. They are state-based systems.
Right, they take a snapshot, like a photo.
That's exactly. Spot on. But AI consumption is an event-based stream. It is a runtime environment where costs fluctuate every second based on how many tokens a user just burned through. Asking a traditional ERP to handle that is like trying to fill a teacup with a fire hose.
So you have got these poor finance teams.
Yeah.
I can just imagine the chaos. Sales ops is probably trying to manage 50 different SKU variations because they do not know how to package it yet, and the billing system literally cannot count the units fast enough.
It is a total nightmare. I have seen companies where engineers are writing custom Python scripts at the end of the month just to parse logs and figure out who owes what money. It is manual, it is prone to error, and it's completely unscalable.
It's like trying to calculate your taxi fare with an abacus while the car is doing 100 kilometers an hour.
That is a terrifyingly accurate image. But yes, and this is not just a technical annoyance, it is a strategic crisis. Look at Salesforce. They are the absolute giants of per-seat pricing, right?
Right.
But with Agentforce, they are scrambling. They are now offering something like 3 different pricing models just to see what sticks.
It feels like they are hedging their bets big time.
They have to. The market is drifting toward these hybrid models. You combine predictable seats so the CFO knows roughly what they're paying with usage or outcome-based pricing. And there's a very specific existential reason for this shift.
Which is?
Automation shrinks seat-based revenue. Think about it. If you build an incredible AI agent that does the work of 3 support staff.
The customer fires the support staff.
Right. So they need fewer seats of your software. If you charge by the seat, your revenue goes down, the better your product performs. That is a death spiral for a SaaS business. You are incentivized to make your product worse, so humans still need to log in.
Wow, that is a genuinely perverse incentive structure. So the only way out is to charge for the work done, not the chair filled.
Precisely. You have to charge for the outcome.
It reminds me of this case study in the materials about a company that stopped forcing subscription models entirely. They switched to a top-up system, like a prepaid phone card from the 90s.
Oh, I saw that one. It is a great example of aligning incentives.
Yeah, and the result was counterintuitive for a lot of people who love that recurring revenue safety blanket.
Yeah.
When they switched to top-ups, engagement and revenue actually went up. It turns out when subscriptions misalign with real usage, like paying for a gym membership you never use, people eventually churn out of guilt or frustration. But flexibility won.
It proves that the old set-and-forget monthly fee is not always the holy grail anymore. Especially when AI makes usage so variable. If I do not use the AI agent this month, I should not pay for it. If I use it 1,000 times, I should pay a lot. That feels fair.
Fairness is a business model. Novel concept.
Revolutionary, really.
But hold on, if we are moving to usage-based billing that requires a level of data granularity that most startups just do not have.
Yeah.
We're talking about high cardinality data here, aren't we?
We are. And that is the friction. Engineering teams have the data. It is in the logs. It is in the observability stack. But finance needs that data on an invoice. And those two systems, the logs and the invoice, they speak completely different languages. One is speaking in JSON, blobs, and timestamps, and the other is speaking in dollars and text codes.
So the product manager of the future isn't just coding the product, they're coding the bridge to the bank account.
In a way, yes. The billing logic is becoming part of the product logic. You cannot separate them anymore.
So we are changing how we charge, which is stressful enough for the CFO, but we are also changing what we build. And this brings me to something we are going to explore that I found properly startling. The idea that interfaces, the screens we tap and click all day, are becoming disposable.
This is a huge shift in mindset for anyone in product or design. Massive.
It sounds wild to me. We spend so much time on UI. We obsess over pixel perfection. But the argument here is that in the age of AI, the durable product is the service layer beneath the interface itself. That might just be generated on the fly.
Think about why a UI exists in the first place. It exists to bridge the gap between human intent like, I want to book a flight, and machine execution. Historically, machines were dumb, so we needed complex dashboards, drop-downs, and buttons to translate our intent into database queries.
We had to speak the machine's language.
Exactly. But now with LLMs, the machine understands natural language. If I can just say, book me a flight to London next Tuesday, and the machine does it, the drop-down menu becomes completely redundant.
But surely we still need to see things. I mean, I am not going to book a flight blind, am I?
Of course not. But the interface becomes ephemeral. We are moving toward generative UI. The system might render a card, a graph, or a button only when you need it and then dissolve it when you do not. It creates the UI just in time, tailored to exactly what you're asking for.
This has massive consequences for product managers. I mean, if the interface is disposable or generated, the PM's job is not about moving pixels around on a Figma board anymore.
No, and this is where we see the rise of the builder PM or the AI PM. The skill set is fundamentally shifting. You cannot just be a coordinator or a ticket pusher anymore. You have to get your hands dirty with the model itself.
What does that look like, practically? Are we expecting PMs to become machine learning engineers overnight?
Not fully engineers, no, but they need to be able to run evils. They need to know how to prompt the model, test its outputs, and understand the trade-offs between a fast model and a smart model. They need to prototype with code.
It's funny you mentioned prototyping, because that is another trap identified in the readings. It is so easy to spin up an AI prototype now. You can get somebody impressive looking in an afternoon with Vue de Sleuth or Cursor.
And that is the danger. There is a hidden cost to these AI prototypes that are made to die.
How so? If it is fast, isn't that a good thing?
Speed is good, but direction is better. You have to decide very early on, is this thing built just to validate an idea quickly, meaning we're going to chuck it in the bin next week, or is this the foundation of a real product?
Because the tools you use for one are entirely different from the other.
Completely different. If you use throwaway no-code tools to build what ends up being your forever product, you create massive technical debt before you have even acquired your first customer. You are building a skyscraper on a foundation of sand. It is insecure, it does not scale, and fixing it is harder than building it right the first time.
I suppose tools like Figma are trying to bridge that gap, right? So they have closed the loop on design to code making AI-generated UI instantly editable.
They have, and that helps. It fuels the speed. But speed without direction is just running in circles, and that brings us to the biggest risk in this new era, which is bloat.
Which is a perfect transition. Because with all this building all these prototypes, all these generated interfaces, does it feel to you like we're just adding more and more stuff to the pile?
It feels incredibly overwhelming, and frankly, most products today are overwhelmed.
Well, there is a counterintuitive truth floating around that I really love. It is the idea that 0 to 1, that magical phase of creating something from nothing, is actually a subtraction problem.
I am a huge believer in this. We tend to think growth means more features, more buttons, more markets. If we just add a calendar integration, they will sign up. But usually, especially in the early days, success comes from pruning.
It is about knowing what you must own and cutting everything else away, but that is terrifying for a founder. You feel like if you cut something, you are losing a potential customer.
You are losing the wrong customer, though. If you try to do everything, you end up with a diluted mess. There is this framework of the 3 juggling acts that I reckon every team should print out and stick on their wall.
Well, we do like a good framework. Break it down for us.
So imagine 3 states of being for a team. The first is strategic. This is intentional focus. You know what balls you are juggling, and you are doing it on purpose.
Ideally where we all want to be, absolute nirvana.
Ideally, yes. The third state is survival, reactive panic. Everything is on fire, and you are just trying not to get burned.
I think we have all been there, usually around Q4. What is the middle one then?
The middle one is the most dangerous because it is seductive. It is lazy.
Lazy. That is a loaded word for a hardworking product team. I reckon a few listeners might bristle at that.
It is provocative, for sure. But I do not mean lazy as in not working hard. I mean undisciplined drift. You are busy, you are shipping things, but you have lost the strategic thread. You are just adding things because customers asked for them or because a competitor launched a feature and you panicked. You are drifting.
That is insidious.
Yeah.
It feels like progress because the backlog is moving, but it is actually just motion.
Exactly. And the fix for this, and this connects to that subtraction idea, is the concept of one list to rule them all.
One list.
Organizations move significantly faster when there is a single, clear, ranked priority list. Not 5 lists, not sales wants this and engineering wants that and the CEO had a dream about this other thing. One list.
That sounds terrifyingly rigid, to be honest.
It has to be. The trade-offs have to be visible. If you want item number 5 to move to number 1, item number 1 must move down. It forces the hard conversation that everyone tries to avoid.
It forces reality.
It forces reality, absolutely. And that reality check is crucial for finding product market fit. Jack Altman has some great lessons on this. He talks about how fit is not this vague vibe. It shows up as real pull.
What do you mean by pull exactly?
He means demand that you can actually feel. If you are pushing a boulder uphill for 3 years trying to convince people to buy you, probably do not have fit. Fit is when the market rips the product out of your hands.
And he makes a point that startups win when they find buyers who are coping or blocked.
That is the key. You want a customer who is sitting there thinking, I cannot do my job because of this problem. If you solve that, they do not care if your UI is a bit ugly or if you do not have dark mode yet. They need the solution desperately.
Stop adding nice to haves and focus on the people who are desperate.
Prune back to the desperate need.
I love that. Now let us zoom out a bit to the future workforce. We have talked about billing, we have talked about building, but who or what is doing the work? We are entering the era of AI agents.
A new workforce.
It sounds totally sci-fi, but listening to the experts managing agents sounds suspiciously like Management 101.
It really is. Managing a fleet of AI agents is remarkably similar to managing a team of junior humans or interns. You cannot just say, go do good things. You need clear outcomes and simple guardrails.
Balance autonomy with constraints.
Exactly. If you give them too much autonomy without guardrails, you get chaos agents hallucinating or booking flights you did not ask for. If you constrain them too much, you lose the speed and creativity. It is a balancing act.
But here's the darker side of this, and it is something we need to confront. If everyone has access to these agents and everyone can spin up code instantly, the technical moat is gone.
The technical moat is completely dead.
So the cynical but probably accurate take I have seen is that the only moat left is money.
It is a sobering thought. Creation has become cheap. AI makes creation near zero cost. But attention is scarcer than ever.
So in a saturated world,
capital and reach are the ultimate defenses. If you have the money to acquire the customer and the brand reach to keep their attention, you win. The better mousetrap does not matter if no one sees it.
that is slightly depressing for the indie builders out there. Just be rich and famous and you will do fine.
It is, but it also clarifies where humans fit in. If AI is doing the instrumental work, the stuff where the product is just a means to an end, like filing taxes or scheduling meetings, then humans need to move to where authorship matters.
What do you mean by authorship?
Work where the fact that a human did it is the whole point. Art, high-level strategy, deep empathy therapy, places where we care about the who, not just the what.
That makes a lot of sense. We do not care who filed our taxes, but we care who wrote the song we love.
Exactly. We want that human connection.
But then we have the consumer side of things.
Yeah.
And there's this dopamine truth that we cannot ignore even if we really want to.
Oh, the dopamine truth. That is a hard one.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We all say we want products that make us better people.
Yeah.
I want an app that helps me learn a language, or I want to meditate.
We aspire to be better, but what do we actually use?
We use the stuff that serves our distracted lizard brains. We doom scroll.
Exactly. Consumer apps win by serving that dopamine-seeking self. At scale, engagement usually beats genuine self-improvement. It is a hard pill to swallow for idealists, but if you're building a consumer app, you are fighting biology.
So to sum up this absolute whirlwind of a session, we are moving from seat-based billing to outcome-based because the robots are doing the work and breaking the old models. We are moving from coordinating PMs to builder PMs who actually get their hands dirty. And we are learning that adding features is easy, but pruning them is where the real value is.
That is a solid summary. The theme is really about dynamic adaptation. Static pricing, static interfaces, static roadmaps, they are all dying.
Before we go, I want to leave you with one final provocation to mull over. We always talk about the aha moment. You know, that split second where the user gets it.
We obsess over it constantly.
But the reality suggests that the aha moment alone does not drive growth.
No, it does not. It is a spark. But a spark is not a fire. Sustainable growth comes from owning the full user journey. You need to integrate multiple levers. You cannot just rely on that one cool magic trick at the start.
The magic trick gets them in the door, but the journey keeps them in the room.
Precisely. You have to follow through.
And on that note, just remember, a backlog is not a plan.
It certainly isn't.
Do not confuse your wish list with your strategy. Go forth and prune your lists.
See you later.
Catch you next time.
Spoken Tech for your ears.